Ah yes, the true Oblivion experience. What a magical game. And I can't believe it looks this good. It's probably what you're thinking. This is how I pictured Oblivion in my head, and you probably did too. But no, this is a heavily modded playthrough to make the game look its best. And with the Oblivion remake seemingly coming out very soon, I decided to go back and play the original PS3 version, the game that I would have played all them years back, the game that made me fall in love with open world experiences. And let's be real, I don't think a lot of people are ready for the true Oblivion experience. And while I still absolutely adore Oblivion with every single inch of my being, it hasn't aged very well. Of course, this new remake is going to overhaul the visuals, as we can see by these screenshots. I mean, they seem to have changed maybe the overall look of it. It does look a bit more muted, but there is also another screenshot where somebody actually went in and touched it up. It was one of the dark screenshots, and they show that you can see that they've kept that mystical vibe with the skyboxes, but more what I'm talking about is the likes of the combat system, how it actually feels to engage in it and fight enemies, and then also the leveling system, which, let's be honest, is the thing that needs the biggest overhaul in the whole of Oblivion. Now, this video is going to be all encompassing. I want to talk about the remake and remaster, what we know about it now and what my hopes are. And I mean, we should be able to find out very soon what this remake is. Is it just similar to the Ninja Gaiden remake earlier on in the year, where I believe that was just UE5 assets running over the base game, so it looked modern but felt the same? There were rumors that it was going to be something similar to that. Now, I'm not technical enough to understand any of that, so if somebody wants to explain that in the comments, then go ahead. And then I want to show off a bit of my PS3 playthrough and talk about my memories of the game, because Oblivion is really a magical experience, and one that has stuck with me all of these years since I played it when I was, 9 years old. And finally, I want to hop over to the PC version, just run it in its base version, just to show off the game in its best state, and talk about what I would like to see changed in the remake. Now, the first and most obvious change is the visuals. As we can see, this was rumored to be some form of a graphical overhaul while still running the base game underneath. Again, we shall wait and see what actually happens. But with these screenshots, you can see that they've toned everything down a bit. Everything looks a bit more brown. There's less blues, less greens, more browns and yellows and oranges, especially in this bottom right screenshot that you can see here. The top right one, there's a bit more color. But then as you go through, you can see that they, while still keeping things toned down slightly, like the overhead shot here of Cyrodiil, it looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, just look at them skyboxes, it's insane. And now this screenshot is a bit harder to see, but I believe this is the first thing you see when you come out of the sewers, which is a magical moment in Oblivion, a moment I will never forget. But once again, as you can see, these skyboxes, absolutely insane, which kind of leads me to believe they're keeping that. I wouldn't call the original Oblivion high fantasy, but I would certainly say it has a mystical feel to it, a more mystical feel than the likes of Skyrim did, and it made it quite unique. And then here is the sewer grate that you come out of, I believe, if I remember correctly, and that is what it looks like it's supposed to be. And this is what really shows off just how high res and how insanely detailed this game should be. It looks absolutely insane. And then you have an Oblivion gate, which looks way more menacing than the ones in the base game, because the Oblivion gates in the base game didn't actually look too scary. And I think just having a quick glance over these screenshots, you can really see that this is going to be a 100% visual overhaul, like a full remake of the visuals, essentially. Again, we don't know if it's a remake or a remaster, but this game is going to look absolutely insane. Now, as for what changes they're making to the game outside of just visuals, as we can see, the game looks amazing. Oblivion has a lot of problems. The combat isn't great. I mean, when you hit an enemy, you're basically no feedback. There's a bit of a noise. There's not really anything to the combat. Like, even if you go back and play Skyrim now, Skyrim's combat doesn't feel great. So if Skyrim's combat doesn't feel great, then Oblivion's combat feels even worse. And if I'm being honest, that doesn't really bother me too much. I mean, I love Bethesda's games since Oblivion all the way up to now. And as gameplay experiences, they always have felt outdated. Like, even if you played Starfield when that came out, that still felt outdated compared to other RPGs of the time. But what Bethesda do so well, and what they did with Oblivion, is give you that feeling of a magical open world that you can just get lost in. And that is the thing that we play, or well, that I play Bethesda games, is because of that feeling. And it is something that Starfield was missing, and that is my biggest gripe with Starfield. But according to these leaks, they seem to have made some changes to the likes of stamina, sneak, block, archery, hit reaction, which is a massive one, and the HUD. Now, I would like to see an original HUD and a remade HUD because I have a very, certain soft spot for the HUD in Oblivion. While there's some problems with it, especially navigating through it with a controller can be a bit cumbersome, it just looks cool, and it looks cool while also being snappy, even on the PS3 version, which is something I wasn't expecting whatsoever. But the main problem with Oblivion is the level scaling and how the level up system works. Now, it's been years since I've properly done a playthrough of Oblivion, and I did have to re-jog my memory of exactly how it works. I watched a great video, I'll link it below, that explains it perfectly. But essentially, in Oblivion, just like Skyrim, you level up your skills by doing whatever that skill is. If you start hitting people with a one-handed sword, it will increase your one-handed weapon or your bladed weapon and blunt weapons, depending on the type of weapon you use. And then if you use destruction magic, it will level up your destruction magic. You get the picture. And also, how you level up is you have minor and major skills that you level up by doing them, but then each increase in that skill then goes towards your main level. And behind all this, you have other stats, the typical ones like strength and agility and intelligence and wisdom, and things like that you put ability points into. But how you get your ability points is by using major and minor skills that govern those skills. And this is where it gets complicated, and also where you should probably just go watch the other video because it explains it way better than I can. But it just becomes an issue because you choose major and minor skills, and to any normal person, you would think your major skills are the ones that you're going to be doing a lot, and your minor skills should be the ones that you're not doing that often. But in fact, it's actually the opposite if you want to do efficient leveling, because if you go on the Oblivion wiki, there's a whole page dedicated to efficient leveling so that you can get your stats increased +5 every single level instead of just say like +1 or 2. It's all over the place. It's really complicated, and that would be fine if there wasn't significant level scaling, because again, how Oblivion works, all the enemies level up as you level up, and different enemies appear depending on your level. So you could go into a cave where there would be, say, a level 1 skeleton, but now because you're level 4, the level 4 skeleton appears, and it just scales like that. And there's certain enemies that you won't see unless you scale up to a higher level. But a problem with it is that you can level up inefficiently by, say, increasing your athletics or your acrobatic skill, and not, say, your one-handed skill and your strength and stuff like that. So then you might be extremely, I guess, fast and have higher stamina and could jump and do all this stuff, but your bladed weapon skill and your strength never went up. So now you're fighting a level 6 enemy, but you still have like level 1 or level 2 bladed weapons or strength, so you're dealing absolutely no damage whatsoever. So that is one thing that they really need to fix. I probably got a lot wrong there. It's been years since I've properly engaged with Oblivion, but it is just extremely complicated, and they would need to fix that. Now, apart from that, just like the rest of Bethesda's catalog, the core of what this game does is really strong, so there actually doesn't really need to be much tweak there, as in just the simple act of running around Cyrodiil and going to random caves and getting cool items and maybe doing some fun quests and going to the Oblivion gates. That core loop is really solid, so not much needs to be changed there. It's just little tweaks like maybe how stealth works, or give better feedback on the combat, or, just maybe tweak the magic system a bit, because it's definitely a bit complicated nowadays. I remember back in the day not understanding magic in this game whatsoever. And I also remember, and I can guarantee anybody that's watching this that played Oblivion on the PS3, you can hear you mashing R2 to heal, because for whatever reason, I found this game so difficult when I was a kid. Them Oblivion gates were nearly impossible to do. And what I used to have to do was go in, just hack at one of the little imps until they die, and then just sit in a corner and wait for my magic to regen, and then just hammer the R2 button to heal myself. And that's basically all I would do in those Oblivion gates, and they would take so long. So I actually have a love-hate relationship with them. Now, they're actually not that great, to be honest. I think the Oblivion gates are a fairly boring section of Oblivion, which is, I guess part of the game. But that core loop of just exploring is still really fun. And that takes me on to playing the PS3 version, because I was at a retro gaming market yesterday, And I saw for €10 the Game of the Year edition. Comes with all the DLC on the disc. I don't own a physical copy of Oblivion, so I decided, why not? And I could capture some footage because I presume the Oblivion remake will be out tomorrow as of recording this. And if there is, keep an eye out on videos for that. And I was going into this with some really low expectations. And what I got actually surprised me, because Oblivion on the PS3, while I presume it is a way worse version than the 360 version, even the base 360 version, if you play it now on the Series S or X, it's like 4K 60 with HDR, so that is obviously the best console version of it. And typically Bethesda games on consoles aren't great, as we all know with the Skyrim fiasco. That was an absolute disaster. But this game actually isn't that bad. Now, does it look quite ugly? Yes, it does. When you walk out of the sewer, again, I have this mystical, magical image of this lush landscape, loads of vibrant colours and loads of foliage and everything off in the distance, but that's not what this game looks like anymore, and that's fine. My memories are still intact and I still adore this game. But one thing that actually surprised me is it runs quite smoothly. There weren't that many frame drops. There was a couple of times where, specifically where there was a lot of skeletons ragdolling on the floor, the frame rate tanked, but you know, that is to be expected. And then I went to Cyrodiil and I was like, I'm not going to take this seriously. Usually when I play these RPGs or try to be the good guy, I turn the difficulty down just to have a bit of fun. And I went in and I just started slaughtering a load of guards, robbed some of their armor. Now I have really powerful armor, really powerful weapons, and I'm just running around enjoying playing Oblivion. I'm not giving it much thought. I'm not really following quest markers. I'm just walking around or riding around on my horse and going into random caves. Now, it did highlight one issue with this game, and that is the caves. A lot of them look the exact same. Now, we all know this was sort of, I think, the start of the procedural generation. I know the early Elder Scrolls games did have procedural generation, but specifically with Oblivion, because I think I remember watching a documentary on it, a lot of the caves look the exact same. There was 2 caves on my couple of hours that I played of this yesterday, where you walk in and you're on one side, there's a ravine below you, and then another side. One time I had to walk around to get over there. The other time it had a bridge that I could cross over, but they looked identical. And I do wonder if they will tweak that. But if I'm being honest, the PS3 experience of Elder Scrolls Oblivion actually isn't that bad. The only problem is it doesn't have trophies, which is what I would love to see, but unfortunately it doesn't. Now this is one of my favorite title screens for any game I've ever played. It is immaculate. Just what an amazing, amazing piece of music. So here is actually pretty interesting. It saved my last save. When did I play this last? 2014 was the last time that I played Oblivion, which is insane. And here's the moment. The famous Bethesda moment. We don't want to do any of that. I don't even know what my character is on this save. But it is pretty cool that they still have it. So we just continue. And this is what it actually looks like. So this was the one thing that I saw on the screenshots, specifically this part here. Everything is just slightly, I don't know, browner. It's less green, but as you can see, this has a bit more of a mystical feeling to me. And this is obviously the spot where you go at the start of every single playthrough. And you have this little fish here that has killed me numerous times when I was a kid. Because this game is very, very hard for a kid, like ridiculously hard. So we crouch. As you can see, I'm going for an archer build on this class, I guess, which is very typical of me. So I said it earlier on in the video that I love the UI of Oblivion. It's still really functional. Because usually when you get into sort of fancy UIs, there's usually a problem with it. Think of Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3 had really fancy UI, but on the PS4, swapping through the menus was an absolute disaster. But here, it looks unique and it suits the game so much, but it's still extremely functional. Now on console, it has some problems, specifically with this menu. If you click onto your map here, there's like the local map, the world map, active quest, current quests, completed quests. I just think this part could be definitely changed. But everything here, there's, again, some tweaks that you could do, but it's not overly bad. And here's obviously all the skills that you can have, your birth sign. Here's the major skills, the minor skills, the progress to the next level. It just gets very confusing after a while. Now here we have the capital city, which I just fast traveled to. Because I just want to show this off. This game, it does still look pretty good. I know I was joking at the start of the video, but like Skybox is very, very good. And I'm playing this on the PC, 1440p. I don't think it's 144 hertz. I think it's only 60. But it still has a charm to it. I think Fallout 3 and New Vegas have a charm to them as well. But I think this just has a very specific charm. Because Fallout 3 is just kind of grey and green. New Vegas is like grey and brown. And then this has actually a fairly diverse color palette. In the likes of Skyrim, you know, it's normal because Skyrim is in a snowy mountainous region, so that's what it looks like. But this just has a different feel to it, and I hope they really keep that in the remake. So my rusty bow has been unequipped. Let's kill some people. Now, I've deliberately turned down the difficulty because I want to just show what the combat actually is. Stop. Oh no, he didn't say it.
Since you lack the funds to pay the court, you must now serve out your sentence. Your stolen...
I will resist arrest. Good job. I'm on a low difficulty here because I should be able to just kill you fairly easily. I don't know what I put my skills into. We gotta heal now. You can probably hear me mashing it. But this is what I mean about the combat in Oblivion. Okay, I'll go to somebody who doesn't have a shield. There's very little feedback on your attacks. Obviously, you have the noise here, which is a big thing. But you are just swinging away. Now, it is obviously a big step up from the likes of Morrowind, because I tried to play Morrowind. Morrowind was a bit before my time. And Morrowind still has, I believe, the sort of like roll to hit kind of thing that's translated over from old tabletop RPGs of, oh, you're going to swing your sword, but you might miss, even though it looks like you made a connection, which is just something that just doesn't make any sense to your brain when you're playing in a first-person game. So, yeah, I don't think... I need to actually go back and play Morrowind. That actually might be a video in the future, I think. But as you can see, once you lower the difficulty in this game, ridiculously easy, which is cool. And that's one thing that honestly I like about the Bethesda games is the sort of power fantasy. I don't need like a big power fantasy in a lot of my games, but in the Bethesda games I like it because it just makes sense. Like obviously if you're playing Dark Souls and they give you a power fantasy, you don't want that. But if you're playing a game like this where you're the Dragonborn, or you're not the Dragonborn in this game, but you know what I mean, you're the super fancy guy that's going to save the world. You know, you kind of want to you kind of want to feel powerful, and they do that pretty well. And I'm already here with some good powerful stuff here, so we should be able to deal with these. Hopefully I have some potions on me now as well. Let's see. Oh, Adamus. My name's Adam. I'm over encumbered. Oh no, okay, this is the end of the video. But there, I just wanted to show Oblivion off on the PC, because you can get this game for dirt cheap on the PC, and it still has a lot of great moments. As I'm getting absolutely pelted out of here by some of these Imperial guards. Adamus Philida. There you go, that's the name. But I can't wait for the remake. There will be a video on it 100% if it comes out. So thank you everybody for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.